Okay, today I'm going to be reviewing Mockingjay, which is the third and final book in the Hunger Games. It's by Suzanne Collins, and please, if you've not read this book, please don't watch this video because it's going to contain some spoilers most likely, so just don't watch it. But what I feel like she did was she rushed through the book. I feel like she felt that she could not make it go over 300 pages because that's how many pages were in all the other books, and there needed to be more explanation. I don't know. Okay, you know what I'm saying. But there needed to just be more. I feel like she spent way too much time talking about District 13 and the bombing in District 13 and all of this. And I mean, for all I care, District 13 could have stayed like dead. I don't really care. And I feel like she made a mistake with Peeta when he strangled Katniss. I mean, no, that's just not cool. I mean, really, she can't do that. But I don't get why she would try to do that in the first place. Because through all the other books, I mean, Katniss is slowly starting to fall in love with Peeta, and then all of a sudden, in the last book, it's like Peeta's some crazed, horrid person that absolutely hates Katniss because of the Capitol. Which I understand where she was trying to go. She was trying to give Katniss another reason to hate President Snow and to want to kill him. And then at the very end of the book, through this whole thing, Katniss has just talked about, oh, I'm going to kill President Snow. You know, I'll be your Mockingjay if I can kill President Snow. Just let me kill President Snow. And then right at the end, she chooses to kill President Coin instead of President Snow. And I felt like that was a mistake too. She should have just stuck to what she was going to do and killed President Snow. And then, I mean, I don't get that. I mean, why would you kill, that's just not right. And she spent just all this time talking about all this stuff I could really care less about. I mean, I want to find out what happens with Katniss and Peeta, how she kills the Capitol, and what happens with all of this. And then I felt like she did not show enough action of her actually fighting. Because through the whole last book, Catching Fire, she talked about how she was going to take under the Capitol and, rebellion, because this whole rebel thing came up. And then she didn't explain it well enough to where Katniss was actually fighting. And I understand that the camera crew and stuff was trying to keep Katniss alive, but I would have liked to see her actually go into battle and just, kill people. I mean, really, if they're going to even have a war where she goes and trains and stuff like that, then they need to show her actually killing somebody. More. She didn't really do anything through that war, really. And I feel like she just wanted an easy way out when, in the last page of the book, she said, oh, and then me and Peeta grew together. Instead of saying just we grew together, I would have liked to see that happen. And through the whole book, all Peeta says is, oh, is this real or not real? Real or not real? And I'm just like, seriously? And, I mean, she could have showed more between Katniss and Peeta, and how they slowly start to grow together more, and then how Peeta and they separate into the three groups when they're going to invade the Capitol. And I feel like the whole point of killing Prim was just pointless. I mean, they didn't even talk about Prim being buried even. I mean, it said, whenever they dropped the bombs and then they exploded and she saw Prim die, then, I mean, what happened after that, really? I mean, why was there even a point in killing Prim? And then I feel like Katniss was way too depressed through this entire book. I mean, there's at least, 50-some pages where she's not even talking to anybody because she's so depressed over Prim's death. And, I mean, I felt like Katniss was too depressed. I mean, through this whole thing was this character that was all against rebelling against the Capitol and fighting and, all this, and then all of a sudden in the last book, she just makes her a completely different character, and I did not like that whatsoever. And I used to not like Katniss's character, but then in the Mockingjay, I finally started to like her, and then in in Catching Fire, I started to like her, and then in the Mockingjay, she just goes and kills her character again, and just turns her into this completely different thing. And I don't think she should have even made Peeta brainwashed or something. Because, I didn't like how he tried to strangle Katniss and had to try to kill her and all this. Because one minute it was like, oh, I love you so much, Katniss. And the next it was like, oh, I'm going to kill you. You're a mutt. I hate you. And all this. And there was just way too much of that back and forth. And I did not like it. And I think she needed to make somebody else hijacked by the Capitol and the whatever they're called, wasp things. Tracker Jackers, yeah, I think. Okay. But that was just, I did not like how she done that with Peeta and how he was captured by the Capitol. And instead of them going off in the mission to get Peeta, I would have liked to see her have to fight President Snow to get back Peeta, which to the rest of the world is supposedly her lover, and actually show her fighting to get back Peeta. Instead of her just sitting in the hospital with Finnick, pretty much defenseless, and then she goes and kills off Finnick after Annie and Finnick have this big wedding and everything, and he's finally back together with Annie, and finally Annie starts to, get back her surroundings some, and he actually gets to calm her down, and then all of a sudden he just dies. And it doesn't even show, after they've said all this about Annie and stuff, it doesn't even show or tell about how upset she is of Finnick's death, and I think she could have done that too. Finnick's went off and died after they just now got married, and they didn't show anything with that. And I would have liked to see Katniss and Peeta get married, and then in the epilogue, I don't know if many of you read that, but then all of a sudden her and Peeta have kids, and she didn't even show them slowly growing together. In the last page of the book, she just all of a sudden goes, oh, well, me and Peeta grew together, and then he asked me if my love for him is real or not real, and I said real. And really, you could have shown something more with that. And then Gale just goes off to, I think he goes to District 2 and gets this job, and they're best friends, and there's not even a moment where she says goodbye to him. And no, I don't get that. And then, really, killing Prim was just pointless. I don't get why you would do that, but, I guess it's your imagination. You can do what you want with your books, but I didn't. And all in all, if I had to rate this book from 1 to 10, I'd probably give it a 5, and the other books would probably get a 9. This book was just way too rushed, and she should have spent more time on it. And, it's not going to hurt to add a few more 100 pages if they're really your fans. Then they're going to read it. It was just too rushed. And she could have took out a bunch of that Capital 13 stuff. There's just way too much of that. And I didn't like the book. But anyway, just leave what you think in the comments. Bye.